Good idea. All right, so now I need to figure out, because Zoom is my worst enemy, how to share my screen here. And Ryan, if you can tell me when you see that.
We look good. See you.
Cool. Very cool. So, again, welcome everyone. We're really glad you're here. And today we are going to be walking through the Emerging Leaders Program, why it's such a meaningful experience for the future of the program, as like you folks here now and the past participants. Like I said, we're going to be talking with some of our quote unquote alumni, I suppose, of the program that we launched this past summer. This may or may not take the full hour, but we'll be sure to leave plenty of time at the end for questions. This is going to be a bit interactive with some interactive slides, and then of course with our panel chat at the end. So if you don't already have your phones handy, please grab them. And like I said, if you guys do have any questions throughout the duration of this info session, feel free to drop them in the chat and we can address those towards the end. But with all that being said, we can get started here. So, hi gang, my name is Drew Myers. I am the impact manager here at the Pittsburgh Robotics Network. I focus all of my time on these Deep Tech Institute programs. Um, so I actually have experience in higher education. I used to work at the Katz Graduate School of Business at the University of Pittsburgh. I was the program manager for both the MS and MBA programs. To put that into simple terms, that basically anything that happened outside of the classroom that the students went through, it all came from me. I was bringing in guest speakers. I was developing co-curricular programs. I was doing like professional development. Anything that happened outside of the classroom setting. That's what I was doing, and that's what I was managing for the MS and MBA students at Pitt. Um, I worked there for a few years. I was then recruited to help start up a logistics company. I managed all of the company's marketing and recruiting efforts and programs. I actually built all those programs from the ground up, and I played an instrumental part in helping grow the company in terms of both employee size as well as the revenue with my marketing efforts. It was a really interesting experience working for a company like that. Like truly was the fourth employee brought onto the company. I did so much work there, and it was if any of you were on the call today interested in working at startups, I would highly encourage you to do it. You learn way more working at a startup company that you ever would working at one of these bigger companies. So I'll kind of leave it at that. I left that position. It's almost a year ago now, which is kind of crazy, to work here at the Pittsburgh Robotics Network to help build and roll out these leadership programs for the AI and the robotics and AI ecosystem here in Pittsburgh. Really happy to be here. Really excited to meet all of you and hopefully welcome you all into the program. I always say this, but I've worked in a few different industries now, and robotics is not really an industry; it's a sector, I suppose. But the folks that I meet in the robotics sector are unlike any other type of person that I've met. Everyone is just really friendly and really eager to talk about what they're doing, and it's just like really cool to be here and building these programs to help everyone out. So I suppose that's enough about me. Ryan, I'll let you introduce yourself and give a little bit of info about you and the Senior Leaders Program, and just for context, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Drew. But yeah, thank you everybody for making time today. And I know dealing, like Drew said, with all of our weather and everything, we're all juggling a lot. So appreciate y'all coming together. But my name is Ryan Haggerty. I joined the Pittsburgh Robotics Network back in December of 2024. And really, they brought us on board with this Deep Tech Institute with emerging leaders to kind of serve more of early career talent who's really trying to get into the sector and learn what the opportunities are and make those professional connections to take their next steps and really be informed about how they're trying to make their decisions. And then on the senior leader side, which I'm dealing with more directly in my work, this is really to serve the companies themselves with their technical staff, and we're providing opportunities for them to get leadership development, kind of improve some of their business literacy within the models that robotics and AI use to serve the industries they serve, as well as really make those deeper connections with each other, as well as the sector professionals that are in the room imparting their expertise and helping them problem solve and really, deal with the frustration of being asked to manage humans instead of just focusing on technology, which, can be a challenge. We're complicated, right? And just a brief background, I've been very fortunate here in Pittsburgh to work with software boot camps, kind of with software developers, changing careers, getting involved on the programming side back in 2016. More recently, I worked with the Carnegie Museums on some adult workforce programming at the Warhol, which was totally different world, but I am a visual storyteller in my previous life. So I really enjoyed that, and now getting to join this sector and really help to make these connections happen for people that are trying to meet each other and make these big important decisions about their careers and about how we grow these companies so we continue to have a sector here has been great to learn about, but it's also been great, like Drew said, to kind of meet the people there. And we've been very fortunate to have a lot of people be open here in Pittsburgh about helping us learn about the sector and kind of build on what Pittsburgh Robotics Network has been doing for several years now. So with that said, looking forward to hearing questions and getting to learn a little bit about you all throughout this presentation, but I'm gonna kick it back to Drew.
Yeah, cool. And like I said, this slide's pretty interactive. So if you guys want to, you can connect with us on LinkedIn through those QR codes there if any of you are uh, eager to do so, I suppose. We're always happy to chat on LinkedIn and see all the job updates and the progression of your careers through social media. Cool. So moving on. So for those that you don't know, I suppose let's talk a little bit about the Pittsburgh Robotics Network and what we do and why we exist. So the Pittsburgh Robotics Network is a mouthful, so I'll refer to it as the PRN. So we exist to support and grow the Pittsburgh's robotics, autonomy, AI, and this broader kind of deep tech ecosystem that exists here in Pittsburgh. So when we say that, we really mean kind of like these four bigger buckets. So first is the business growth. So we support startups and scaling companies through the access of capital, mentorships, resources, everything that helps them grow. We bring in investors that could be interested in investing in their companies. The second is the community engagement. We host a ton of events. We host happy hours, networking sessions, different forums, guest speaker series, all of this to try to bring these people from across companies together, across companies, universities, and different sectors together to generate those meaningful conversations to allow for cross collaboration. Um, the third one that we'll talk about is the ecosystem promotion. So we actively promote the Pittsburgh's robotics sector globally through media. We go to different trade shows and different types of visits. We bring in people from all around the world really to explore everything that's going on here in Pittsburgh. And then the fourth is what we kind of sit in with what we're talking about today is the workforce development. So connecting employers with talent and offering, leadership and career development programs. So the Emerging Leaders Program and the Senior Leaders Program sits directly inside this workforce development bucket or mission, I suppose. So this is one of those slides that's a little interactive. So if you guys can all pull out your phones, just scan that QR code. I really just would love to get a sense of who's in the room here, what school, what program, what organization are you currently at, and also with that, list which major or role you are at one of the organizations or schools that you're working at. And Ryan is also going to drop something in the chat. If you're not able to participate on your phone, you can do it on your computer. But I'll just leave a few minutes to get it going. CMU, somebody's on here from the Pittsburgh Robotics Network. Um, Tepper, Penn State, cool. MBA student, focused in AI, cybersecurity. Cool. Engineering, okay. Robert Morris. Awesome. That's cool. Awesome. So cool. Welcome, guys. This is great. It's always just nice to see who's in the room, really. That's one of the weird things about being virtually. You don't really have that like human to human interaction. So this is cool. I mean, for all of you on the call, I mean, look at this and see where cross collaboration can happen. I know that there's just like a wealth of things that can happen if people just, I don't know, talk and see what's happening at Tepper versus seeing what's happening at RMU and Pitt and blah 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 blah. Cool. So moving on. So what is the Deep Tech Institute? I already talked a little bit about the PRN, the Pittsburgh Robotics Network, and how the Deep Tech Institute programs fit in with the workforce development aspect of what we do. But what is it? So we are an initiative of the Pittsburgh Robotics Network. It was created in response to the rapid growth of the companies, the robotics and automation, AI, and these deep tech companies that exist here in our region. These companies are building incredible technologies, but as they grow, they need these strong leaders, they need these strong teams and people who understand both the tech as well as the business. So if you think, a lot of you are CMU students, a lot of you are Pitt students, they are teaching you how to be world-class engineers, but where they may be at fault, and it's not at fault of their own, it's just by nature of the design of the program, they're not teaching you how to be leaders. So that's in this sector here. So this is where we step in, and what we're trying to accomplish is allow the universities to teach you how to be these world-class engineers, but allow us to teach you how to explore and become this master leader that this sector so desperately needs. So the goal of the Deep Tech Institute is to strengthen the internal culture at these companies and increase their ability to bring products and services to market through, again, this leadership training. And a big part of that is identifying and developing the emerging talent that's here in this city. So, so many companies have so many companies have this strong, sustainable pipeline of talent that's entering into the sector. So at the Deep Tech Institute, we currently run two core programs. The first is our Senior Leaders Program, which Ryan talked a little bit about. That's more designed for experienced leaders that are already working and managing at these companies. The second is the Emerging Leaders Program, which is what today's session will be focused on. So the Emerging Leaders Program is designed for students, early career professionals, and people transitioning into the robotics and the deep tech sector. It's really about, helping the participants understand the ecosystem, where they fit into it, how to help build the skills that they need to grow into these leadership roles. So think just like very early to entry level positions. So again, here we go with another interactive slide. So before we get into the specifics of the program and the module topics, but let's pause and do a little bit of reflection so I can get a sense of where we're at here. So again, use your phone to participate, but I would really love to learn and know what skills you think matter most for you and your career over the next few years. Again, we can take a few minutes. Decision making, business development. Empathy, that's a good one. Communicating, project management, adapt and learn, cross-functional leadership. Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, so you'll see communicating, business development, project management, upskilling employees. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to quit reading and move on. Yeah, you'll see a lot of this come up in the program development. We did a little bit of not a little bit, but a lot of research and data collection about what people in this people that are trying to enter into this sector, what they feel like is most valuable to them when trying to get a job. And then we actually went out to the companies themselves to understand where these people are lacking, and that's we put two and two together and came up with the curriculum for the program. Um, so yeah, let's talk about the program. So the core program in 2026, it runs across kind of like several phases throughout the year. So January and through March is, where we sit right now. This is our recruiting period. We are actively recruiting for the program. We have a few applications in already, but we're hoping to get a little bit more so we can really make this cohort and this upcoming year really worthwhile. Um, So April through May is module one, which is all about exploring the sector. So you'll actually learn what roles exist in the robotics and AI sector here in Pittsburgh, what the different job titles mean, how those companies are structured, um, and kind of like where you fit into that. It's a lot of exploratory. It's a big opportunity for you to explore the sector, explore yourself, understand where you fit into it, understand what your strengths and weaknesses are. It's very interactive, and it kind of goes through just the step by step of what it takes to get from point A to point B to point C to point, wherever you are and where you want to be on your professional journey. This module also talks about we do a deep dive into business models, how these companies make money, how they operate day to day, and what it takes to build and scale and bring a company like this into the commercialization phase. So June through July is module two. It's focused all on entrepreneurship and project management. This module is a very interactive, group-based module where participants work together to solve real problems and go through, like a whole project management stint, I suppose. And then in July, you'll see that that's kind of a standalone situation. We're calling that launch day. We don't know if it's launch day or launch week. We're still kind of figuring that out. But essentially, what the idea is to bring in a lot of professional development opportunities for the participants and the public to go through a number of different workshops and panels and bring in guest speakers just for some focused hands-on learning of different topics that you're not learning throughout the whole program. And then July through August, there is the last and third module, which focuses on your communication skills. So think, pitching yourself, pitching an idea, pitching a product, presenting, again, presenting, everyone does presentations. You're all in school, and if you're not in school, you have been in school, and everyone on this call has given a presentation. I'm giving a presentation right now. It's just a way that it's the way that the professional world works. Everyone gives presentations. Interviewing, we bring in head of people, and then like a recruiting staff, a staffing recruiter to do mock interviews. You get a firsthand glimpse of what it takes to become like a successful interview at these companies. Networking and just how to tell your story professionally, I suppose. Um, and these programs are designed with these program pillars in mind. So if you can kind of think of these pillars are our promise to you, the participants, the people that are going through these programs. So each one of these pillars is the foundation of how these programs were built. So if you go through these programs, you are going to gain direct connections to sector leaders, active economic development partners, other universities, incubators, accelerators, and even bringing in that global aspect. Real world engagement. So these programs include many company interactions. We take you guys to different site visits. Like I said, we bring in outside guest speakers to come and do mock interviews. We're doing a whole project management. There are just so many people that are brought into this program that have a wealth of knowledge um, to bring you those real world engagements. And then workplace skills, we are focused on bringing um, sector expectations, like setting that bar high, just so you know that, this is what it takes to work at this company versus that company, just bringing the real world into this. And then the last one there is the professional platforms, making sure that you have exposure to the professional tools and the systems and, everything that these companies operate out of, making sure that you have early exposure to those so that you are more prepared than maybe, someone that you're interviewing against. Um, so these modes of learning, I suppose, are how the programs are administered. So we're doing a hybrid learning model here, both with live and virtual sessions. It's cohort based, which allows for, again, this collaboration across companies and universities, just like that peer-to-peer collaboration. Um, the curriculum is very project based, it's very interactive, just so the participants are applying what they're learning in real time. The full program runs for 4 months, totaling 112 hours. Those are the number of hours that you'll have to put into the program. Some of those hours are asynchronous, so think kind of like outside of class time, like this idea of like homework, which we're not ever giving you homework, but just in case if you're falling behind on a project or something, you need to take it home. It accounts for that type of hour as well. And then 30 meetings across the entire program, which again is 4 months, 30 meetings across the entire 4 months, both virtual and in person. Um, and then again, like I said, we bring in tons of mentors and guest speakers and people that are experts in this line of work that can really steer you and allow you to learn from them, which, what better information to get from than the people that have gone through it and the people that are currently working in the situation. So just to give you a little glimpse into the type of people that we do bring into these programs to guest speak and mentor. So in the summer, we had a cohort of people go through a very shorter version of what the full program is going to be. So one of the biggest strengths of that program was the people who came and showed up for it to instruct and teach the participants everything that they had to say. So in the last cohort of this program, we had 11 different experts from 11 different companies. These were the leaders that were actively working in robotics, and AI and deep tech here in Pittsburgh. The participants weren't just listening to lectures, they were having these real life conversations with the people in the room and in the field. And I will say that a number of them actually went above and beyond and invited a few of the participants to coffee, and then they did a little bit of info sharing so that the participants were able to grab their email address and just further communicate with them. It was really I don't know, it was really, really cool to see. It was never expected that, they would do something of that level of, going that extra mile and inviting them to coffee and just further understanding where these younger folks may need a little bit of help wherever they're at in their professional journey. So and the exposure to these people helps the participants understand the different career paths and the company cultures that exist at the companies that they're working at as well. So it was I don't know, really cool to see, really insightful. And they were great. And we're doing the same thing. It might not be the same people, but we are working very hard to make sure that the people that do come into the programs are the best of the people that are existing and working here in Pittsburgh. And this is just a fun little slide to show you kind of what the program was. You'll see pictures of people that are actually on this call today because we're going to be doing a little bit of a panel discussion, but this is what the program actually looks like in practice. So you'll notice that none of these pictures are of people just sitting there reading like a pamphlet or doing any type of work. The program is not designed like that at all. We are doing real world things to allow you guys to learn what it's actually like rather than just reading about it on like a piece of paper or something like that. So you'll see, I'll just talk about it briefly. So, the participants, we took part in company visits, like site visits. We toured workshops, we toured uh, workspaces like Gecko. It was really cool. We got to see their engineering workshop. It was really neat to see. And they actually did a panel of their entry-level engineers so that our participants were able to ask them, just like unfiltered questions, how did you get this job? How did you land the interview? What questions were asking in the interview? Just really kind of down to earth, casual conversations were had. It was really neat. Also, we provided professional headshots to help the participants of the program strengthen their online presence, really just gear up their LinkedIn profiles, allowing them to just be seen in a more professional manner. There were hands-on communication and storytelling workshops, pitch days, and then again, bringing up the mock interviews. I think the mock interviews may have been the most popular session that we hosted in the summer. Um, yeah, I don't know. It was really cool. The program, like I said, it was a very short version of the full rollout of the program, but the information that was taught and the information that was learned was such a valuable information. And I hope that, you all can identify yourselves with needing something out of this program. And if you don't hear it from me, I'm really hopeful that you're hearing it from the people that we have up next, which is our panel discussion. But before we get into that, I'll leave this slide up just for a second or two. If any of you are interested in grabbing some additional information, we have an email address there. We have our website and then a QR code. Again, if you want to pull that up and scan it, you can bring up the application to apply or just to learn more. And that QR code goes straight to our website though, so you'll find links to the application, and if you keep scrolling, and then you'll find information about the program. And if you keep scrolling, you can actually see alumni profiles of the folks that went through the cohort previous to this one, so you can get to learn a little bit more about them as well. So with that being said, I am super excited to introduce our panelists here today. So these folks have gone through the program already, or a version of the program, I should say. One of them, so you'll notice Pallavi, she's on the call with us today. Pranavi is not on the call because she had a class, like a workshop or something that she couldn't miss, that she totally forgot about. And then we have Ashley here as well. So I will not do I will not introduce them for them. I will let them introduce themselves. So Pranavi or Pallavi, if you would like to go first. Sorry, I was looking at her picture and talking to you. So
No worries.
Pallavi, if you would like to introduce yourself, that would be great.
Yes, thank you, Drew. So I'm Paula V. I was a product lead before coming to Pittsburgh. Currently, I'm doing my MBA at CMU and Tepper, and I'm in the first year. And I come with 7 years of experience before this. Very recently in AI, and I got exposure to robotics through the Emerging Leaders Program. So can't wait to talk about it.
Awesome. Ashley?
Hi, my name is Ashley. I am a senior at Penn State majoring in mechanical and biomedical engineering. Some of my previous experience includes interning at Volvo Trucks and most recently working at Humotech, which is a small startup in Pittsburgh that does wearable robotic devices. So I've worked there the last couple years, and I'm excited to get to talk with you guys about my experience in robotics, AI, and with the Deep Tech Institute this past summer.
Awesome. So I'm going to ask one question, but I want both of you to answer the same question. And I don't know, we can start with Ashley first. So what initially made you apply to the program, I suppose? Like you went through the whole process of the application, we did interviews. What kind of really stood out to you and why did you apply?
Yeah, so being at Penn State, I can recognize that I'm a little kind of separate from the actual Pittsburgh like ecosystem, but I'm from the Pittsburgh area. I love Pittsburgh. Even with all the snow, it's still the place I love being. That's where I want to end up in the future. So I wanted to work on trying to build up my network and my connection to the city outside of just kind of the friends I knew from high school. So I've been looking around, I was kind of workshopping, trying to find an opportunity outside of Penn State to kind of really build up my Pittsburgh connections. And I happened to be at a Pittsburgh Robotics Network networking event, and I was talking to Jenny and Drew, and they're like, "Hey, we have this new program coming up. Talking to you, it sounds like you might be interested." And so getting to talk with them and hear about what the future of this program would be, it sounded really exciting, of getting to build up and meeting people, meeting companies, and learning more from the experts in this industry, not just some professor who maybe learned about this 20 years ago, but doesn't know exactly what's going on nowadays. So it was really exciting to really build up that connection to the city.
Awesome. Paula V?
Yeah, so I was completely new to Pittsburgh before this. I was coming from Chicago, and I remember contacting Drew and understanding what this program is more about. Um, Really, I think the selling point for me was the network that you gain through this of mentors from different robotics companies within Pittsburgh, but also the Pittsburgh Robotics Network. It has some amazing initiatives going on with the new startups that join, and just learning more about, what are the new startups that are coming into this space, especially in AI and robotics, and even with the mentors, what kind of projects are companies working on? I mean, we don't know anything from the outside, and this is like one way to actually go and see within companies what they do within this space. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I remember those initial conversations with both of you. And yeah, everything that you said stays true to what you told me in the beginning. Like Pallavi, you were looking more for, the network aspect, and Ashley, you were looking for the same, like building up your network here in Pittsburgh because you were in Penn State. So very cool. So before starting the program, what were you hoping to get out of it, and how did that compare to what you actually did get out of it? And we can start with Pallavi.
Um, I guess I was just trying to learn more about the AI and robotic space before this program. And after this program, I think I just became a lot more confident, I would say, in not just learning how to understanding how to learn new topics within robotics,
Mhm.
um, but also how to present yourself in front of these leaders, because some of these leaders who come from these companies, they're very specific and very polished in the way they talk and how deep they go into these subjects. And I think it just helps you be a better presenter, and also in terms of the interviews that you might have, you can actually talk about some of these topics that you connect with your mentors on. For example, Nicholas Kirsch was one of the mentors we had. He came and he talked about how it's not just software, but it's also the hardware within robotics, where diverse skill sets such as, I think it was musculoskeletal
Mhm.
knowledge and domain knowledge that you need to have. Now, I was not somebody who had that knowledge specifically, but he was like having that exposure to at least, okay, this is what you need. This is the kind of, topics that you need to learn about or do more research on. I think that was helpful because that's how you connect more with people in this industry.
Yeah, cool. And then Ashley, what were you hoping to get out of the program, and what did you actually get out of the program, and how did that compare?
So on my end, I think there are kind of two things I was looking for from this program. I mean, number one, the thing that probably a lot of you guys are here for, right, is trying to find like a really good connection to the city of Pittsburgh. Through this program, you're able to meet so many amazing companies and mentors that you may not have great access to. I mean, some of the companies are like genuinely only 5 people. Getting an email that they're going to have time to answer can be tough sometimes. So getting some of that face time is a great opportunity from this program. But the other side for me was also trying to find a network of my peers. It can be really difficult sometimes to try to find people who are interested in the same stuff as you, that are like similar age in the same place. I mean, people are always moving around, have different interests, and not everyone wants to go to the same place. So finding that group was something that I really wanted to find. But after the program, I think that I got more than that. Like, number one, I can say that I have some peers and some friends from this program that I still communicate with. And getting to see them every time I come back to Pittsburgh, shooting them a text or something, being like, hey, I'm in town, you want to do something, catch up, how you been. And then again, having those network connections that I still are reaching out to. I mean, I got to see a lot of those same people when I was at the Robotics Discovery Day. I was able to walk up and be like, hey, like I remember you from the summer, how you been? But
Mhm.
also finding a connection with the PRN is, I think, a really underrated part of this experience. I mean, I think the PRN is a great resource that not many other cities have, is having a network that is so ingrained and put together with the robotics and tech industry. I mean, pretty much every robotics company that knows what they're doing is connected with a PRN somehow. And there's some really amazing people there who've been there to support me with pretty much any part of my career search, and people that I've consistently talked to, like even when I'm not in the city of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah. So think way back to the program. I know that was, maybe 6 or 7 months ago at this point, July, August of last year. Um, Talk to me a little bit, walk us through a moment or a project that was like the most beneficial, the most insightful to each one of you. Pallavi. I wish there were three of you. It'd be easier to like toggle back and forth.
Yeah.
But we'll start with Pallavi.
Yes, I think we had many different mentors who had come to teach us how to interview better. One of the discussions we had, it was the whole topic was on putting yourself out there.
Mhm.
Um, and we discussed many different situations of what you experienced in your workplace. And that was a very sensitive topic, so to speak. And it's just how do you charge through change in the industry, and because especially in AI and robotics, you have so much change going on. And how do you really put yourself out there? So I think that one was a big one, and um, also just it's not just the theory part of it, because the mentors are, yeah, they give you like a whole framework of, okay, this is how you should do things, this is how you should lead projects, but you're actually thrown into the deep end when you have those practical sessions where you're having like a mock interview, and you're actually sitting with an industry leader there who's looking at you and they're interviewing you, and I thought I'll do great, but then I went into the practical side of things, and then I saw myself like get lost, or I was put on the spot, and you have to be ready. So I think this program really prepares you to be ready when you're put on the spot.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then Ashley, a moment or a project that really kind of stood out to you.
Yeah. So I think y'all are probably going to get tired of me saying that there's not just one of my favorite aspects from any of this program. Pretty much every question I'm going to come at you and be like, so actually there's more than one. But I think that my top two, because I'll try to limit it to two in most cases, I think my top two kind of go hand in hand. One of the first activities we did was trying to write out our story. And this was with Scott McTaggart. It was kind of I guess it was more in the middle, but like write out our story. And I mean, I pride myself on being involved in a lot of things. That's something that I think defines my college journey is that I get an opportunity and I click yes. I want to take every opportunity I can because the more that I do, the more interesting I can be, the more well-rounded things I can talk about, people I can meet, from doing stuff. So learning how to kind of narrow that down, because I can easily come into pretty much any conversation, have something to talk about. But whether or not the person cares to listen, that's the harder part. So kind of learning about narrowing myself down and building that story in a way that's cohesive. So rather than me just yapping about all my experience or all my thoughts or whatever for 30 minutes, having a bit more targeted approach to how I tell my story that still gets all the same points, but makes sense together, is cohesive, and is interesting to listen to. And then that came really into play at the end of the program, which I think is one of my ultimate favorite parts is when we did the actual big networking moment. And that was
Mhm.
one of the things I was most scared for. Because I really do well when I'm talking to small groups of people. I love meeting people, right? But when you enter a room and there's 150 people there and it seems like everyone knows each other except you, it can seem kind of scary. You're not really sure exactly what you want to do, where you want to start. But getting all these tips from building my story meant that it was so much easier to walk up to someone and kind of walk through different parts of my story so we could better feel like we understood each other and then maybe branch off into one of those like friend type topics or talk more about their job, and go a little bit further than just the hi, my name's Ashley and I'm an engineering student. What's your job? So I think really kind of bringing those two together was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the networking piece was really I don't know. It was really cool to see you all kind of like put what you had gone through into the program like into actuality with going through that, and it was, I don't know, it was like heartwarming to see everyone having these conversations. And I think Ashley, a few times you were talking to someone and you saw me and you pulled me in and you were like, oh my God, like I don't know, it was cool, it was just really cool. So I think we have time for like two more questions. I know we want to have some time at the end here, so I guess did you guys learn from the program that you've actually implemented and applied into what you're doing now? Whether that be, like your schooling. I know you're both in school. Whether that be your schooling or maybe you're applying for internships or full-time positions, or how did you guys apply what you learned into what you're doing now or next?
I'll
Polly.
I'll let Ashley go on this first. I
Okay,
already see
Ashley.
that she's from the time I saw her back in August to now, I think she's even become a even better
Yes,
presenter.
I would agree. All right, Ashley, go for it.
Yeah, I can start off with this then. I think one of the things that I've best been able to put into practice is building up a connection with someone and keeping that going, you know. Again, I'm going to draw on Scott McTaggart again. You guys are hopefully going to get to meet him. I think he was one of the most dynamic presenters we had. You know, he came in and he gave us a really great presentation on how to present yourself, how to talk about your story, and gave a lot of feedback that I wasn't kind of expecting. You know, like, hey, like you might think you're talking about this in a way that builds you up, but think about the negatives of this. Like you might be hurting the reputation of the company you're talking about, and that doesn't benefit you, you know? You don't want the other person to think bad stuff while you're saying. So he came in with such great feedback and was amazing to listen to, and building that connection and then being able to keep it. And I had the opportunity to again meet him at the Robotics Discovery Day while I was going around trying to talk to some companies, figure out potential future jobs, you know. And he's over there and he's like, I remember you. And he drew me into this conversation. And thinking back on those skills that he taught us and the networking skills from this program, I was able to kind of be myself, but not be too polished or too under polished, you know, like a
Mhm.
right good in the middle person that I think is easy to kind of communicate with and feel like you know. And I was able to come out of that conversation with ultimately some really great connections that I've been able to exploit while trying to find my next future job. So I think it's not just like building that connection, which I think you do a great job of learning how to do in this program, of building that connection, but continuing to keep it.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I
Polly.
think my answer would be that it taught me to be more open because especially our cohort, we had so a diverse set of
Hmm.
people, different backgrounds, different stages of life. Not very different, but still different.
Different
And
enough, yeah.
also with the mentors that came in through this program that we got to have FaceTime with, they talked about their experiences with us, and it made me more open, because before this program, I thought like, okay, AI and robotics, okay, it goes this way. And that's probably because me as a millennial or even a Gen Z, we read articles and we do so much research online, but when I don't think we're getting enough like people interaction. And this was a great way to like get to know people and also keep your mind more open and keep asking those questions because
Hmm.
if there's one thing we did in this program, we constantly asked so many questions, whether it's sessions that you had with mentors or site visits. You constantly ask so many questions that you start exploring. You develop this exploring mindset, which really helps because now I can not only just tap into the mentors that I gained through this program, like I have them as LinkedIn connections, so
Hmm.
I can just reach out to them.
Yeah.
Or also, if I need to go meet somebody in some other industry, now I know how to because I've done it here, so I can do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. Very awesome to hear. Okay, one more question, and then we'll be done. And just kind of quickly, so in like a sentence or two, how would you describe the impact that this program has had on you? And also, in one more sentence, what would you tell someone who is like, I'm on the fence of joining this program, blah 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 blah. Should I do it? Should I not? What would you say to them? So, what describe the impact this program had on you, and then describe what you would tell someone that is on the fence about joining the program.
Um, the impact for sure, I think I've made really good friends
Yeah.
through this program, and
Am I
you
one
know,
of them?
Yeah, I stay in touch with them because I reached out to Drew for a
It's
recommendation
recorded
once.
now, Pallavi. It's recorded. You
Yeah,
can't take it.
I know. So I reached out to Drew because I needed a recommendation. He was very nice to give me. I talked to Jenny even now. Ashley, I see all the updates on LinkedIn sometimes, like all the things that you're doing now. So it's nice to have this group of friends, and it's even nicer to know that as cohorts keep coming in, this alumni group is probably gonna just keep growing, and this is a
Mhm.
great way for you to network.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess definitely if you're on the fence, I would say like, finding a job, interviewing, researching about this field is a very lonely process sometimes. If you're doing it by yourself, then sometimes you can, hit a wall and not know where to go. And it really helps to have a cohort of people who are going through the same thing,
Hmm.
because it works out for other people, and then you can take some inspiration from them, or they can help you guide you to where you want to go. And I think, some really tangible things like Jenny was providing so many resources. Like I remember this whole database of different kinds of roles within the
Yeah.
robotics industry, and some roles that I didn't even know existed, right? So that kind of detailed, granular level of resources and tools are really helpful.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. And then Ashley?
So I'm gonna go into some intangibles here. I think one of the big, I gotta be the opposite always, but I think one of the biggest impacts this program had on me is that like Pittsburgh's not going anywhere. Pittsburgh is putting the time, the money, the experience into developing this industry, and being in this industry, especially in Pittsburgh from this program, has really made me excited. Like it can be really easy, as Pallavi said, to kind of get down, like while you're looking for a job, while you're trying to interview and not getting emails back, it can be kind of like sad and you're like, is there even job growth? Is there even a point? But doing this, like there are so many people that want you to succeed. And getting to see that like both in person, online, throughout the meetings, and even afterwards, of continually reaching out and working with these people. Like I talk to Drew and Ryan and Jenny pretty often. I mean, I'm in the Lawrenceville office sometimes even, and I'm like, hey guys, how are you? And they're always checking in on what's going on. And knowing that there's that force of people behind me has really lifted me up. It's been such a great feeling to have while finishing this last year of school and getting ready to become a full-time engineer for the first time in my life. But I think something I would say to people thinking about this, that are a little uncertain is a lot of the really big things in life right now are things that people are uncertain about at the beginning of. Like if everyone was uncertain about the iPhone when it came out, like would we have an iPhone now? Would we be able to scan the QR codes that we have on literally everything nowadays? It'd be so much harder to communicate with people. I think uncertainty is important. Like if you're certain about something, then maybe it's not always the best, because you know exactly what's going to happen. Joining in uncertainty means you have room to grow, room to do something new and be part of something new. Y'all have the opportunity to be the second ever cohort of this program. And years from now, you're going to get to talk about like, yeah, I was one of the first groups of people that did this, and now I'm your big alumni, and these are all my resources that I can help you with. And I think taking that leap into the unknown is really worth it.
Yeah, that was awesome. Ryan, we should get her on payroll to do marketing. No, I'm just kidding. No, that was awesome. Thank you both so much. That kind of concludes our panel. And honestly, Ryan, if you want to stop the recording now so we can just
Yeah.
kind of get into this Q&A.